Peace and power. I am back. I wanted to get on here and really share some experiences. Hold on. I am just sharing the link to my YouTube. Okay. All right. So today was a very odd day for me. I'm sharing the link in the chat if you want to join. I'm gonna put it up here. Click link if you want to join. All right. So I got that set up. Now, I want to get on here today and talk about mental health. Today was a struggle day for me. Personally, I just had deactivated all of my social media. I was just like, it's fucking with me. Excuse my language. And so I hopped off of social media. I uninstalled the messenger thing. I just feel like since the cruise, I have been overstimulated. And so today it was just like overload. I want to speak on it because people often don't. People usually run and hide when they're dealing with mental health. And it's because you don't want to be judged or looked at different. And so I was in a spiral this morning. It started yesterday. Really started on the 1st, my grandmother's birthday. So when my grandmother transitioned, I did not mourn. There was no room for me to mourn. I had people coming out the blue. You have to just be conscious of people, especially when you're mourning. So I had a stranger coming around trying to be supportive, but it wasn't really supportive because I just thought maybe I'm not gonna mourn. This is my grandmother here, who I love dearly, but I was just like, everybody mourns a different type of way, and so I just sucked it up. So after that, this year made 6 years. And so I just thought I was okay. I started that morning, I woke up out of my sleep and I was listening to her video that my cousin shared with me once she had transitioned. So I'm looking at the video and I'm looking at the pictures and I was very overwhelmed. And then I started crying. And I was crying for like 3 hours on her solar return. Once that was done, I got up, went and worked out. I was like, okay, I needed to get that cry. Maybe it's just, me mourning her. I have to stay conscious and aware that in Capricorn season, it is a season of the elders and the dead. Everything is dying around us in the winter. We just had the winter solstice. And so in that, I just need to become more conscious and learn that it's a time and a space that I personally need to slow down and reflect. It is hibernation season. So with all that, I have been talking back and forth with people online since the cruise. Different people, just people. And so that was a lot because in my mind, I'm not thinking you're being overstimulated. I was not on Facebook like that before the cruise. I, in particular, don't just hang out on Facebook because it's a lot. It's a lot. And so after the cruise, I was on there for hours at a time, daily. And so that's cool because it creates community. But in the same breath, it it's a thin line because it's like a fake sense of community. And so you feel like you're socializing, but the reality is that you're not. You're actually in the house and everybody's in their states and you're really still alone. And so I was not thinking this might have some kind of detriment to it. It's just not what I was thinking. But the more time I was on there and you talking to all these people, and my thing is I like genuine connections. And so that's not necessarily what Facebook is for or how it is. And so in that you're talking to a bunch of people, but you're not forming connections. And then the type of conversation, these conversations are not necessarily deep. They mostly are conversations that don't build connection. It's just conversation. So that too, it was like a false sense of being okay going into a Capricorn season. But then once I started crying and could not stop, I was like, yeah, maybe I should just get off here for a little while. Which is what I do. Not healthy because then my platforms never build up to their potential. But I'm thinking, preserve your mental health. So I got off. Once I got off, I reached out to my business group and I was just letting them know, like, I'm not okay today and I cannot pretend through a meeting on this Saturday. I just could not. I didn't have it in. So the leader of the group, what I refer to as a mentor, anybody that's teaching you something, reached out, and his suggestion was that instead of me going to retreat and hiding, I talk about it because other people can relate. And so if I look weird, I've been crying for 2-3 days, right? It's my first time really coming out talking about when y'all don't see me. 9 times out of 10, I am taking a break to deal with the things I have going on. And sometimes it's emotional for me. Another thing we discussed is when you're going through stuff like that, we have to normalize not hiding our emotions and stuff from our children because they can feel your energy. Children are sensitive to energy. And so even though you don't think they will understand or whatever, it's still important to talk to your children about things like mental health, just in case they go through something. And so at first, I just wanted to be sitting in my room alone, really. And my son came in and I was like, okay. He was in there and then I told him to leave. And then I said, no, let me just talk to him. And so he came back. And I was just explaining to him, through my tears that I'm not okay today. I can't pretend. It wasn't nothing. I was trying to pull it together. Hours had passed trying to pull it together. So at that point, you have to be able to share. You have to be able to share. I'm feeling a little better. I'm still a little sad. And it's because even though being here, I'm grateful for a roof over my head, it's still a really long way from my mom. From people that when I'm going through, I can pull up on and talk about it. It's just me here. And so being that I'm no longer married, I don't go over to my ex-husband's house to talk about what I'm going through. He was here 10 years and could not understand what I was going through. So I'm definitely not doing that. And so it leaves me with just my only friend, April. And April be going through her own stuff. And so I can't in particularly um just have all that going on because, you know, she got her own stuff. She just lost her dog, you know. And so that's what I had going on. So I deactivated everything and now I'm back activated. I just want to take out time. It's not gonna be a very long video, but just to talk about it and to bring awareness. Capricorn season is the season of the dead, and it's because all the plants and flowers and everything dies off, and not to be gone forever, but to create new life in the new year, which is the spring. And it is also the season of the elders. So that's why the energy, I feel like, was very strong as far as me and my grandmother are concerned. I thought that I got it all out. I ain't gonna shoot my mouth off, but I really thought I was done mourning, and I wasn't. And so I'm okay with that. I want to get on here and fully discuss because, for one, all right, my bad. For one, I reached out to people who I bonded with just to let them know that I was not falling off the map or anything. I just needed some time away. In doing so, a person reached back out and so they totally get it. And so when my mentor said you should talk about it, I was like, well, let me talk about it because I'm not the only person that's going through it. It's the energy. And even if you aren't just brought to tears, if you lost someone recently, it's going to be amplified in this season. If you are, and this is not just losing someone to death, this is divorce, a child. Some people have lost their children this year. It's all of the above. And I just want to encourage you and say you are not alone. We all can feel the energy. I was trying my best to pull it together and just to get through what I refer to as hibernation season without struggling mentally. But this is something that happens every year. And that's why I felt the need to reach out and say, you know what, I can't pretend in a meeting today that I'm okay and I'm not. And I reached out to a couple of people, and I appreciate everybody who reached back. I value people that reach back. When you hear somebody and they trying to open up to you and be vulnerable, that they going through something, you have to have a place of empathy within that. And a lot of people don't. But just being alone in this season. And my friend, she was just saying, you're not alone. And it's just a feeling. My mentor said the same thing. It's just a feeling. And you can shift that by focusing on something else. Now, I do agree with that on some level. But I also believe in if you're mourning, to get it out and fully mourn. That on top of going on a cruise and then coming back and just not being able to fully acclimate back into what I was doing before the cruise. It took me a minute to even sit with what was going on, which is like, I realized, I want to be traveling. I don't want to be sitting behind a computer 24/8. Knee deep in paperwork. That's what my desk looks like on a daily. And it's a lot. Even though I'm a nerd, I'm going to research. I'm going to be doing some kind of studying. There's nothing like companionship and good company. And so, that being said, I was just really feeling it today. That also pushed me to look at my own chart. That pushed me to look at my own chart just to see what's there. And what was there is just my placements in the home house, which is the fourth house, are very strong in companionship, feeling like home. And so all that mixed together, it's a lot. It's a lot. I am a strong believer in getting it all out. And that's what I told them, like, I have to get it out. I can't pretend. I feel like when you're online, so many people are in counterfeit mode. And so what they do is go around making little surface connections. But then when you're going through something, there's still no one to soothe you or hold you. Hold that space with you. And so I also was able to articulate, like, okay, now with that being said, also you have different types of character. And so for me, I'm more so interested in moving forward with a man that has a healing character, so that when he says, or when I say I'm going through something, instead of him retreating, he leans in. That's what I want for myself. And so it's all relative. It all what it is. It's all relative. It's all important. It's just like, yeah, I don't want a surface connection. I don't even want to be talking to nobody that when I'm going through something, they're backing up. I have no interest in holding a space with anybody like that, because I don't do that to people. Well, if I see there's an issue, I try to bring resolve. And we're living in a day and a time where that is rare. It's really rare. People will see you going through something and then hit you with the positive vibes only. And nobody feels positive all the time. It's like a requirement that nobody can meet. I don't care who you are. Nobody's just positive all the time. It doesn't make sense. I don't know. I think in our community, we normalize pain. And so when you're normalizing pain, it's like, okay, if I call it another name, then that will make it disappear. And it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. And so I was trying to stay upbeat as I possibly can since I've been back. from a cruise, but the reality is this is the season of my grandmother's birthday, and I was mourning that. It went from that to an extreme feeling of being alone and lonely, and just not even having anybody to hug. These things are so simple. I'm talking about, we're talking about a hug. And so when I reached out to my homeboy, his response was he totally get it, because sometimes he feel that way too. These are all normal feelings. But we're living in a society that pushes you to ignore your mental health. Because if you don't, it makes other people uncomfortable. And so I just want to get on here and share that. I got a book that I'm going to read. I am starting book club back up today. We're going to go over there and read 41 Shades of Men. I feel like I need some kind of boot camp to even get back out there and date. I am so lost in this new world of being single. I'm not going to lie. And so I don't want to get on no date now. All these things, but it's like, you got to do something. Today, I said, I'm going to find this guy. He's a therapist. He does a great job on his platform. And so he has a 6-week therapy session on sale. And I'm going to go for that. I also feel like we go through so much in a lifetime, so many different traumas, to where we're picking up all these things, but we're never dropping anything off. And so therapy will help you drop some of that stuff off, because you carrying around, you're going to have so much baggage. It's like, that stuff over time gets heavy. If you're having constant interaction with other adults, and 80% of those contact relationships are ending up in you being hurt, you pick some of that up along the way and you're dragging it around with you. And so it just reminds me of that song Bag Lady. It came on the other day, and I turned it. I probably listened to the majority of it, but I ended up turning it. I ain't want to hear the song. But it's true. If you are out here in this season feeling very heavy, you are not alone. I encourage you to do things that's going to reshape your mental. And me, for one, I started working out. I worked out 7 days this week. I was going to rest today, but the energy was so heavy. By the time my grandma's birthday came, I just kept working out. And it helps. It helps. Today, I had been crying since yesterday. So today, when I got up and went to work out, I felt a whole lot better. And so, 1 second. So yeah, I really had to sit with my tears today. And I had really no control over how many tears were coming. And I just let them all out. Better out than in. And so I feel like even being in contact with different people, what kind of energy am I giving off if I'm not okay and I'm pretending to be okay, just pushing forward? I'm not bringing nothing to that connection because I'm not even being real with myself in that moment. So how am I be being real with somebody else, getting to know them? That's not how that works. And so I told my homegirl, yeah, I just want to get me together. I don't even think if I'm ready, to really date. Especially when you have all that going on emotionally. And what she explained to me was when you're having a growth spurt in life and what you're going through, it's not really a good time to attract anyway. Because you might not attract someone that is a good match. Because you're transitioning from one thing to the next, and they might resonate more on the side of what you're coming out of. And so she made a good point. I just want to make sure I'm staying my authentic self. There's enough people in the world already operating in counterfeit personality, and I don't want to be one of those people. So today, I just let it out. I started, like I said, last night. I cried myself to sleep, and I woke up, and I was still crying. And so, if you out there going through something, let it out. If you have a couple of people you can reach out to and talk to, reach out to them. Don't go through somebody yourself that you don't have to. So I appreciate everybody in my circle that reached out to me there. I am not gonna be logged into Facebook all day like I've been being. I'm gonna log in to share my content. And like I said, we're about to go into 50 Shades of Grey. Wrong movie. We're going into 41 Shades of Men. And that's gonna be on Katie's Alchemy. And so I'm gonna get off here, log in to share over there, and then I'll be sharing that book club video onto my Facebook. I might not log in to share it live because y'all just subscribe so you'll know I'm live. I think I've just been overstimulated by it. And I'm over it. But I will share the content there on both platforms. All right, I'm going to go. Peace.